month we decided to do something a little bit different because the topic that we had thought about doing, we've already done it. And so we're just like, well, we get all kinds of
Mhm.
questions that, seem very common knowledge to us, but a lot of times because this is what we do and we study it, we read it, we listen to podcasts, all of those things, we don't realize that it's not common knowledge. And so hopefully we can answer some questions for you guys tonight that are enlightening. A couple of you guys put questions in the question box that we had at the gym, but then we actually just kind of compiled some questions
Mhm.
that we've been asked in the past, and then just like some common things that we hear.
Yep.
So we are going to try and just move through things because we do have a lot of questions. If for any reason you have something you want to add, just unmute yourself or start a chat, whatever.
Mhm.
So, because we want to hear your feedback. Obviously, nutrition is something that's constantly changing, and there's not one right answer for everyone.
Right.
So we know that like what might work for me doesn't necessarily need to work for you or someone else, and so we love to hear
Yeah.
people's experiences, feedback, all of that.
And if we ask a question and are answering that question and that fuels a question within you as well, please let us know too, so we can answer anything that you might have.
Yes. Okay, so the first question we have written down, I'm actually going to save it for a little bit later because it's more detailed, like intense.
Mhm.
So one of the questions we got was, what is a good alternative to soda if you crave carbonation? And this one was a good one for me because that's me. I love carbonation. For me, what I do is I carry around this and I put coconut LaCroix and soda, just regular soda water in it. I know that you have a soda stream.
Mhm.
I have one too, but it stopped working. So
Oh, yeah.
anyways, so I just do soda water and lime, and I do a sugar-free coconut syrup in it, and then I do my her time, which I know you guys have heard me talk about, just helps regulate my hormones. I also do the her power, which is just like a good pick me up.
Mhm.
But before I used to do that, I would do like a half a packet of Crystal Light. I know that there's like artificial sweeteners, so I don't know how you feel about that, but you can always do the LaCroix. Also the Zevias
Mhm.
are a
Zevias are great.
good option. We keep those stocked in our fridge as well.
Mhm.
I also like the ice drinks.
Yep.
The ice drinks, they come like bottled, but they also come in a can.
Mhm.
And the canned ones are a little bit more carbonated. So if that's something that like makes you feel like you're having a treat, definitely work that in. I actually drink more water when I have a carbonated something throughout
I
the
do
day.
too.
So I will drink regular water in the morning, then I'll do my electrolyte water, and then I'll do my soda water, and then regular water again.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anything that you did that I
Um
didn't touch on?
No, I do pretty much the same thing. I make sure I have a 64-ounce water jug that I make sure I drink in the mornings, and I'm usually done by like 1 or so, and then I usually drink carbonated something at the end. So we have a soda stream, so I use that. And then I got this stuff, and I get it at Fry's. You can also get it on Amazon, and it's I think it's called Just Lemon,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
have that.
dehydrated like lemon,
Yeah.
and it's great for flavoring. I usually put that. Fry's has a bunch of flavors. They have like a strawberry, a wild berry, lemon. And that's usually what I put in mine. Ben drinks the Kool-Aid squeezies. And so every once in a while, if I'm craving an orange soda, I use his orange Kool-Aid squeezy. But yeah, and Fit Aid too.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I
Yep.
always have
Me
a
too.
Fit Aid, and
The Fit Aids are great too because they're not just a recovery drink. There's lots of options.
yep,
You have an immunity one. There's a like a pick me up mid afternoon that has a little bit of
yep,
caffeine in it, and then they have the caffeinated ones now too that have
mhm,
200 milligrams in caffeine
yep.
that are nice for just like those random afternoons that you're just really struggling.
Yeah. Well, and you gave me the good tip of taking, if you don't want a full caffeinated Fit Aid, take like half of it and then use soda water
Mhm.
for the rest of it. And then that way you're not intaking all of that
Yeah.
caffeine, and you can save it for later.
Yeah, that's what I
Mhm.
do just because 200 is a lot for me
Mhm.
in the middle of after like I don't feel good
Yeah.
with that, so I just do
Yep.
have one. And if Chris is here, I'll share with him or
Yep.
something, but if not, then I just save it for later. Okay, so one of the other questions that we had was, what's your favorite meal prep company and do they cater to food sensitivities? So we have tried quite a few.
Mhm.
Um, the Cormaz Mills is one that we have tried most recently. That's really good.
Yep.
I feel like with meal prep companies, you're gonna end up having to rotate because they don't change their menu quite
Mhm.
as frequently.
Yeah.
So Cormaz Mills is one that you can try. I think we still have a discount code there too.
Mhm.
So I don't know who wrote that question, but they can come talk to us. And then there's a place on Gilbert and Warner
Warner. Yep.
that the cool thing about them, and I can't remember their name. Do you know the name?
I don't remember.
They It's by Lifetime Fitness. So what's cool about that is you can actually just go and shop their freezer or their
Mhm.
fridge. So they make meals on Saturdays and I think Wednesdays. And so you can just go shop their meals, and they will cater for like if you're low carb or high carb or muscle growth, whatever. So they may have some food sensitivity ones too. But there's also
Factor 75?
Factor 75.
I think so.
There's also a guy that we worked with last year for the nutrition challenge, um, that he actually runs a business where you tell him your sensitivities, you tell him what kind of food you like, you tell him your macros, and then he pairs you with a chef that caters to like your specific needs. And he is a little bit more pricey because it is so specialized. So
Mhm.
the meals are anywhere from like $10 to $15 a piece, whereas some of the other ones you can get for like 6 to 10, 6 to 9
Yeah.
ish. So that's another option too. So if you guys want suggestions how to get in contact with them, just come talk to us
Mhm.
and I'll get you in contact with whoever.
It's actually, The Butchered Beet.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
The
The
butchered
Butchered
beef,
Beet. It's on, Warner and Gilbert.
Warner
Yeah,
and Gilbert.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Next. Someone was being funny. If you eat bad food, chew it up and spit it out. Does it count as calories? If you don't swallow it, then
Right.
no. That might be a good diet trick.
Yeah.
Okay, so one common misconception or, thing that gets brought up a lot is breakfast important to eat and what if you have a hard time eating breakfast or don't like breakfast food? Um this is like a loaded question
Mhm.
because uh we both have tried eating breakfast, not eating breakfast. There's studies that'll support, the intermittent fasting and how that helps you burn fat as fuel. Then there's other studies that will say you've got to eat carbs within 45 minutes of your workout or you're not going to build muscle.
Mhm.
There's a lot of contradicting information out there. In fact, just a few weeks ago, I was listening to two podcasts back to back, and they were 100% contradicting each other, even with like doctors on their podcasts.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to navigate. And my answer is you have to just figure out what works best for you.
Mhm.
If you hate breakfast and you get nauseous when you work out with high intensity with food in your stomach, don't stress about it. Don't eat breakfast. You're going to be okay.
Yep.
I would suggest like if maybe you get lightheaded or you do get nauseous
Mhm.
because the workouts are so intense, I would suggest eating like maybe even just drinking like 2 ounces of juice,
Mhm.
something to get your blood sugar up
Yep.
because it's when your blood sugar drops that makes you feel nauseous, makes you feel like you're going to pass out, lightheaded, all of that. So I would suggest trying something
Yeah.
little. Um, but also, the more used to that high intense workouts that you get, the less you need food.
Yes.
But again, if you are looking for muscle growth, it is the best time to eat is surrounding your workout before
Yep.
and after.
Mhm.
Mostly carbs,
Yep.
but you'll want that protein too. But if you are looking for fat loss and you're not a huge breakfast person, then try working out fasted.
Mhm.
That's what I would suggest. It's just totally personal preference. And there's not a right or wrong way. You just kind of have to try and see.
Yep. Yeah, listen to your body. I worked out fasted for a really long time. I didn't like working out with food in my stomach. And then my body recently is starting to change a little bit. And now I'm eating again. And I'm eating a meal like an hour and a half before. It's just sweet potato and egg whites. So it's something small. It's not a lot, but I feel better. And then I'm eating right after my workout too, and I'm eating more of a higher carb as well when I'm done. And I've noticed that I've been feeling better.
Yeah.
So it's just our bodies change. And so I've been intermittent fasting for a couple years now. And now my body's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. So just switching it up and listening to your body and just checking in every once in a while, seeing how everything feels, and then just go from there.
Yep. And the intermittent fasting, if you guys don't know what that is or why people do it, it's basically just giving your body a period of time of no eating.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a reset, but it also gives your body an opportunity to be low in glucose so that you're burning fat as fuel.
Mhm.
There's no right or wrong. Like if you want to do intermittent fasting, great. I don't feel like strongly one way or the other. I've
Mhm.
done both.
Yep.
Um, there's pros and cons to both. Like the pros is you get to eat bigger meals when
Mhm.
you do eat.
Yep.
But if you're really busy or if you don't like big meals, it's hard to get the calories in if you aren't someone that
Yep.
likes big meals.
Yep.
So I wouldn't suggest it. Um, I don't know if I notice a big difference one way or the other as
Yeah.
far as like body composition changing. There's a lot of studies that show that intermittent fasting is really healthy for your health, for your hormones as you get
Yes.
older in age for women.
Mhm.
So that is something like if you're having hormone health issues, that might be something you want to try. And we're going to actually talk about hormones in a little bit because that was one of our questions. But before we do that, I want to kind of continue on with eating breakfast that leads into one of the other questions that we had is how do you fuel for your workout? So this depends on A, what time of day you're working out, B, what your goal is. So if your goal is to build muscle, you're going to want to fuel around your workout with carbohydrates.
Mhm.
You can eat quite a few, actually. You can have up to 1 gram per pound ideal body weight for carbs post workout. And you want them to be carbs that are fast digesting. So
Mhm.
simple carbs like fruit, juice, even like just things that are going to get digested easily. Like if you talk to like bodybuilders and stuff like that, they're literally eating like gummy bears and like Pop Tarts.
Yes.
So
Yep.
if you have a sweet tooth or jelly beans, I know Amy,
Yeah.
Coach Amy loves jelly beans. Post workout's a great time to do that because
Yeah.
that carb is going to get into your muscle and fuel it for the next day. So if your goal is muscle growth, then focus with carbs
Mhm.
and then pairing protein as well with it. If your goal is fat loss and muscle maintenance, then you can drop your protein a little bit and you can wait a little bit longer to eat carbs if you're just trying to burn fat as fuel for as long as you can after your workout. So you can wait, 45 minutes up to like 3, 4 hours.
Mhm.
When you're intermittent fasting, that's what I do. But again, it also depends on body type. If your body type is one that builds muscle easily, you can get away with that a little bit more where you don't have to fuel post workout
Mhm.
and you'll still maintain your muscle. If you have a hard time putting on muscle, you will not want to do that. You will want to fuel with carbs post workout, probably pre workout. If you're kind of in the middle, like I'm in the middle, I can kind of do both. And sometimes I will try fueling post workout right after, and sometimes I will intermittent fast. It just depends, and I just kind of see what my body
Yep.
does.
Yep. One thing too, if you are fasting and you're breaking that fast, you do also want to try not to mix fat and carbs together. So if you are going to break a fast, try having it be a carb and a protein or a fat and a protein. That way, your body's under a lot of stress when you're fasting. And so when you eat something, your body's grabbing at everything that you're putting into it. And so for it to fuel your body better, picking a carb, an energy source, and a protein, or a fat, which is also an energy source and a protein.
Yeah, and it's because what happens is when those molecules enter your body, those sites where the carb or the fat is absorbed are the same. And so if fat is being absorbed, then carb is being stored in a fat cell for
Yep.
later use. So it kind of hinders the absorption of those other macro. Okay, let's talk about hormones. we're actually going to do a whole hormone podcast or nutrition talk
Yeah.
next month because it is so interesting and like something we're all dealing with, I feel like. So how do I eat better during PMSing and avoiding cravings? So there's a really great podcast that I can share with you. I'm not sure who asked this question, but it talks about how to eat for your cycle. And the reason we crave carbs the week leading up to our period is because our body is trying to make progesterone. And progesterone is directly correlated to glucose in the blood. So that's why we crave carbohydrates because we actually need more carbohydrates. And we need, if you're an intermittent faster, you want to take that week off from intermittent fasting and you want to just eat more carbs. And there's actually foods that help build progesterone. So I'll go over some of those foods that increase progesterone. So any root vegetable, carrots, beets, any source of potatoes or squash or things like that are all progesterone building, as well as tropical fruits like mangoes and pineapple. So if you can incorporate more of those into your meals the week before your period, and there's actually like a whole breakdown of what to do for your cycle. So, the first day of your cycle, your hormones are going to be the lowest. So, day one through 10, you want to try and increase, your body's trying to increase estrogen. So, you want to eat low on the glycemic index and eat high fat. So, think low carb, high fat. And then day 10 through 15, you want to increase testosterone and lower estrogen. And so you want to increase foods with probiotics and prebiotics in them, or take a probiotic or prebiotic. Eat more leafy greens, things like that, more vegetables, and decrease your fasting window. So if you do intermittent fast, try and go, if you normally do 16 hours, maybe do 12 hours or something like that where you're fasting. And then once you hit day 19, which is the week before your period, you don't want to intermittent fast anymore. You want to more insulin because your body's going to be more insulin resistant and you need more glucose. So that's when you want to introduce those root vegetables and the tropical fruits and things like that. So I know that's like getting into the nitty gritty, but basically don't fight those urges when you're wanting like sweets or, but try instead of going for sweets, there's a reason you're craving that. Try increasing, like go to those tropical fruits. They're still going to be sweet, but that should fix those cravings. Um, it's interesting because like I feel like some months I have really bad cravings and then some I don't even notice it at all. And you'll probably feel those too. But when you are feeling those cravings, look back at what your week has been like. What has your food quality been like? How do you increase your food quality so that your symptoms aren't as severe? Okay, moving on. Does anybody want to say anything? You can stop us if
Yeah.
you have questions. Okay. So I was sitting at the gym today and I'm like trying to come up with questions. And my niece, Ashlyn, who works the front desk in the evening, I started asking her, I'm like, what are some questions that you might have? She's like, I have no idea. And I'm like, I need like basics, like give me some basics. So she said, for someone who knows nothing about nutrition, what is the first thing I should focus on? This is a hard thing because everybody's different, but I would say one of the most common things we see is under eating. So
Yes.
like going hours and hours without eating and then binging kind of at night because you're so hungry.
Yeah.
I would say that's like a really, really common one. So the first thing you can do is just focus on eating every 3 to 4 hours, whether you're hungry or not.
Yep.
And then start to track your hunger cues and your hunger levels and energy levels. So maybe, the first week you might not ever feel hungry and you feel like you're eating even if you're not hungry. But then maybe by the second week or third week, you're like waking up hungry or going to bed hungry. Or if you don't take a snack with you and you're gone longer than normal, you feel those hunger cues, like that's good.
Yep.
That is a sign that your metabolism is starting to pick back up. Because what happens when we do big, long stretches like that, our bodies are really smart.
Yep.
They're not going to let us starve. So our metabolism is going to go dormant and just be not as aggressively. And that's why we don't feel hunger cues. Like My dad is hilarious. He's like, "I never get hungry." And I'm like, "That's
That's
not
not good.
good, Dad." He's like, "I can go 5 days without eating. All I do is drink." And then he breaks it with a Wendy's, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay,
yeah,
so listen to your daughter." So yeah, so that would be the first thing.
yeah, yep.
And then using the plate method or
Mhm,
making sure you're getting protein, carbs, and fat in every time you eat.
yep,
So those 2 things are probably the biggest
yep.
2.
And water,
Yeah.
drink water. 'Cause that's a huge thing that I see too, is a lot of our new people that we meet with, and we ask them about how much water they're drinking, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know."
Or they think they're doing good, and
Yeah,
then we have them measure it, and
yeah,
they're
and they're
like,
like, "Oh."
"Ooh, I'm only getting
Yeah,
like 40 ounces." I'm
yeah,
like, "Oh, okay."
yeah, yeah, water's another good one.
Yeah. A lot of times when we feel hungry, it's because 'cause we're thirsty.
Yep,
So like, drinking 8 ounces of water before you eat is
mhm,
actually really it's gonna help you digest food better, it's gonna
yep,
help fill that space a little bit so you don't, overeat.
mhm,
Plus, it just keeps your body, like, hydrated and
yeah,
everything works better when you're hydrated.
yep.
Mhm. Okay, the next question is, do macros really matter or can I just count calories? So, calories is the first step, I
Mhm,
would say.
yeah,
So, if it just depends on where you're at in your nutrition journey. Um, if you've never done anything, just tracking your calories is going to be awesome.
mhm.
Even if you don't use an app, like I remember when I first started paying attention to
I used to write it
nutrition,
down.
I actually still have my book.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote everything down and I lost because after I got married, I put on like probably 20 pounds. Lots of late night TV and ice cream,
Yeah.
guys. I didn't even know I could gain weight, and apparently I did. So Chris and I, started hitting the gym and started eating better, and I just wrote it down, and
Mhm,
I lost 20 pounds. And so that was really helpful to do that.
mhm.
MyFitnessPal is very user friendly. It's not hard once you kind of learn some of the tricks that it has. So start with tracking calories. It's great. But macros is the reason it's better is because you actually get to eat more food. So instead of thinking less food, less calories in order to see changes, you actually get to eat more food. The goal is how much food can I eat and still see change?
Yes.
So once you fuel your body with all three macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat, because all three of those are essential and they all have a different role in our body, once you're giving it the right percentages and everybody's different, then you get to see changes while still eating lots of food.
Yep.
And instead of cutting calories when you see a plateau, you can just manipulate percentages and start to see changes
Mhm.
by keeping your calories the same. So that's why we like macros. It gives you a little bit more freedom to
Yep.
like eat chips and salsa and not feel guilty
Yeah.
or have a treat at night and not be like, oh crap, I screwed up my diet. Like it's planned, it's in there, it's fits within your macros.
Yep.
And there's no more guilt. I think that's another thing that I see is
Yeah.
how much emotion is attached to food for most people. And
Mhm.
I was guilty of that
Oh, yeah,
for sure.
same. Me too. Yep.
Um, so once you can separate that emotion
Mhm.
from the food you eat, it changes everything. You look at food as fuel. You stop looking at it as an emotional tool, and you start looking at how, like, you ask yourself, "Do I really want that, or am I eating
Mhm.
it because it's there?"
Yep.
So
Totally.
it
Yeah.
just takes the energy away from it,
I
so it
think so
doesn't have
too.
power over you.
And it helps you kinda categorize food in a way too. So, like, it helps you learn, what foods are protein, what fruit foods are, like, protein and fats, what
Mhm.
foods are a carb and a fat, and, it helps you kinda learn more about the foods that you're eating and what they're doing to help fuel your body as well.
Totally. Okay, let's move on. Okay. What do you do when you are craving a treat? I eat a treat.
I eat it.
That's what I do.
Moderation.
I have a couple things at home
Mhm.
that are like that really do it for me.
Yep.
Dark chocolate Reese's peanut butter cups, the thins,
Mhm.
they're so good. So I have those in my closet, and I also have the dark chocolate peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's. Now, I have to say, when I first started paying attention to nutrition, there's not a chance in hell I could have had that in my house and had one. I couldn't have done it.
Mhm.
I was too emotionally attached.
Yep.
But now I can. So I can
Mhm.
have it there. I can see it every day. I can
Yep.
decide whether it's worth it or not.
Yep.
But I also will do like protein balls. I keep those in my freezer pretty much all the time. I do my protein yogurt with fruit every night, so that's sweet. So that I just
Yeah.
don't really feel like I need a lot of treats.
Yeah.
Um, but there's another yummy treat that I'm gonna have to share soon because
It's so good.
it's insane. And I just made it tonight because maybe I should get it out and show everybody. If you're a peanut butter and chocolate person though, it's
It's the
insane.
bomb.
It's worth the calories and the macros. So, and there's no sugar in it. So, find something that does it for you. Yasso
Mhm.
bars.
Yep.
I used to keep those in my freezer all the time.
Yep.
Yasso bars.
I eat those Lenny and Larry cookies. I know that a lot of people have trash talk about them, but I love them. And I have 2 flavors that I love, and I make sure they're in my pantry, and I literally eat like 20 grams,
Yeah.
and that's a serving for me. That's
Well,
all I need.
and you keep like crumble cookies that all cut up in your
Yep.
freezer.
Yep.
So like have those things on hand
Yeah.
because if you limit yourself, if you say, I can't eat those,
Mhm.
then when you are around it, there's that emotion attached to
Yes.
it and you're going to binge.
Yep.
So don't limit yourself. I that all or nothing mentality happens because we limit ourselves.
Mhm.
But being able to have something sweet, like I had a client just today say he's been craving chocolate. I'm like, okay, eat chocolate, eat
Yeah.
something, plan it,
Yep.
have it, and
Mhm.
it's just be done at the end of the
Yep.
night. But also look, okay, you could be craving these things because you're not eating enough throughout the day. So look at
Exactly.
your day, make sure you're not thirsty. So drink lots of water, make sure
Mhm.
you're eating enough food. Then if you're still craving that, then have it.
Yep.
It's okay.
Ben's going through a phase right now where he eats ding dongs and or like those I think it's Hostess cupcakes. And so I have them in the pantry. And before having them in the pantry would be really hard for me. Like it
Yeah.
would be like I need to eat one now. I need to eat one now. No, I can't eat it now. And then it would just be on my mind all the time. I don't even see them.
Yeah.
I don't crave them. I don't see them because now I know what my body wants and I know what kind of sweets I like and I don't like. So having ding dongs or hostess or something like that, I know it's not worth it to me because
Totally.
when you take a bite, you're like, oh, that's not really that good.
Yeah.
I know that that's not really what I want. I want the chocolate peanut butter bar that's in my freezer.
That I already have planned for
Yeah,
later tonight.
exactly.
In fact, tonight before Megan got here, I already logged the chocolate peanut butter, bar, but I hadn't made them, and I am frantically making these before the nutrition talk because I already have it planned and I need to eat it tonight.
Yeah.
So instead of, like, taking a calm night no, I
No.
had to make them so
Yeah.
I can have it after my nutrition talk.
Exactly.
But carrying on, like, I just thought of something else, like, sometimes you have unplanned treats, so
Mhm.
let's carry this on over, like, how do you eat healthy and make good choices when you're eating out or going out with
Mhm.
friends or whatever? This last Friday was one of my best friend's birthday, we went and floated the river, the 3 of us, and then we went to Mod Pizza, and if you have not been to Mod Pizza, they have these no-name chocolate, like,
Oh.
cake, like, it's basically a homemade Hostess, like, the chocolate
Oh, yeah.
filling,
Yeah.
and I've never bought one because it didn't sound like it'd be that great, you
Yeah.
know? Well, my friend bought one, and she's like, "You have to try this." It's like, I didn't have a plan, but, oh,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
like, it's not the end of the world.
Mhm.
And I had it and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that it was so worth it. It was so good." The 3 of us split one, so it wasn't that big a deal.
Yep.
And so when you eat out, initially when you first start tracking or you first start paying attention to food, definitely have a plan
Yes.
going out. Know where you're going, know
Mhm.
what you're gonna order. When you successfully stick to your plan, it gives you so much confidence to do
Mhm.
it again, and you don't have fear around eating out. You don't have fear around socializing, or having drinks with friends or whatever. Like you can calculate all of that
Mhm.
beforehand, and it really creates this sense of freedom. Like instead of having fear behind it, you have freedom.
Yep.
But as things go on, like if you have an unplanned night out, it's okay. Um, it's one like look at how many meals you have in a week, and it's one meal.
Yeah.
And I mean, I eat 5 times a day, so
Yeah.
that's 35 meals. So 1 meal out of 35 is
Mhm.
gonna be okay. The odds are
Yeah.
that you're gonna be fine.
One salad doesn't give me abs.
Nope.
So one untracked meal is not going to throw me off the bus.
Exactly. But what was I gonna say? Oh, but there's things that you can do leading up to like your night out. The things that I do, um, like Friday nights are our night out. Sometimes I'll give myself more calories that day just to have guidelines still, but give me a little bit more freedom. So that's one option. Another option is you can intermittent fast. So delay your first meal till later in the day.
Mhm.
Make sure you're drinking lots of water. Eat high protein throughout the day and limit carbs and fat so that you can save those for later. And then plan your meal out ahead of
Mhm.
time and go
Yep.
into the night with a plan. If you know you're going to drink, know how many drinks you're going to have, know what you're going to get, find a skinny version or a
Mhm.
lighter version of your drink. Pay attention to why you're drinking. Is it something that you love or is it just because it's social?
Yep.
Like, pay attention to all of that and then have water in between.
Mhm.
Maybe you're a treat person and you would rather have dessert than drinks. Like that's
Yep.
just decide what that looks like beforehand.
I always look at the menu ahead of time. I mean, even now, I'll look if I'm going somewhere that I've never been before, I'll pull the menu up and kind of look at the menu, and I do it at the beginning of my day before I've
Mhm.
eaten anything, and then I can slowly plan around that as well. So if I look ahead and I decide that I'm going to have, steak and potatoes or whatever, I'll plan that dinner in my fitness
First.
pal first,
Yep.
and then I will base the rest of my day around that. I pretty much eat the same thing throughout the day, every day, so it's easier for me to be able to plan around it, but I'll do stuff where, like, I'll take a couple grams of carbs and fats out of my breakfast to save for my dinner, and then I'll do the same for my lunch, and I'll do the same for my snacks.
Mhm.
It's not a lot, but together it ends up being a good amount.
Yeah. And you can do that for vacationing too. I do the
Mhm.
same thing. I
Yep.
try and control the meals that I have control over. I try and eat out only one day or one
Mhm.
meal a day instead of multiple if possible.
Yep.
If you don't have control over where you're eating, that's okay too. Like just use the plate method or
Mhm.
ask for things to be steamed instead of sauteed. Ask for dressings on the side.
Mhm.
Pick your protein first. Like there are ways to do
Yep.
that. Don't go into your meal really, really hungry.
Yes.
Drink
Drink
a
a protein
protein
shake.
shake before you go. Like there's a lot of options there.
Yep. We always when we go out of town, the first thing we do is we go to our hotel room, make sure there's a fridge, and then we go grocery shopping.
Hmm.
And we grocery shop for snacks, breakfast, stuff like that. And then that way we have our day pretty much planned with snacks and a couple of our meals, and then we go out and have dinner.
Yep. Good. Okay, so let's talk about why body composition is more important than weight. So, a lot of you know that we have our in-body scanner at the gym and that we track body composition over weight because weight is not the best indicator of progress because it fluctuates so much. And if you're female, you understand that
Yes.
depending on the time of month,
Yeah.
depending on how sore you are, if you're retaining water, if you
Mhm.
were hydrated. There's a lot of different factors. So weight can is an indicator, and we do want to pay attention to weight, but it's less important than what we feel like, what we look like, what we feel like our clothes are fitting, all of that. I know that when I first started CrossFitting, I gained 7 pounds and I was
Mhm.
freaking out.
Yep.
Like all my clothes still fit, but I was 7 pounds heavier. And I
Mhm.
just in my head thought I needed to weigh a certain amount. And that was really, really difficult because we didn't have access to an in body or a way to test body fat. And that was hard for me.
Yep.
Now I don't care what I weigh. I'm actually kind of proud of my weight that I weigh a lot. Like
Yeah.
I don't care
Yep.
that I weigh more because it's more important how I feel, how I think I look, and how I perform.
Yep.
So don't worry about like if you have a number in your head, please get it out of your head.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's okay to have a goal weight, that's fine. But just don't put all your eggs in that basket. Like have some other goals too that are
Mhm.
non-scale related so that you can feel successful even if you never get that weight.
Yep. Totally. If if I when I first started CrossFit, if I knew that one day down the road I would be happy about being 160 pounds, I think I would have cried. Like it's, the scale for so long meant so much and it had so much power. And now it doesn't. Now I'm proud of my weight because it means I'm able to back squat, 160 pounds 5 times.
Mhm.
It means something else to me now than it did before.
Totally. Okay. Next question. You guys have probably heard this term. What is reverse dieting? What does that mean? Okay, so reverse dieting is kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, how when we undereat, our metabolism goes more dormant and it stops burning efficiently. So it doesn't matter how low your calories are, you're never gonna see results because you can't cut anymore.
Right.
So when you do an in-body scan, you get a number and it's a basal metabolic rate, BMR. That's how many calories your body burns at rest. We use that number to help you understand how many calories your body should be, how many calories you should be eating to help you reach your goals. And we don't ever want you to eat below your BMR because it can slow down your metabolism. So when we talk about reverse dieting, if somebody is constantly eating under their BMR, then we need to slowly increase them to help their metabolism match the food they're eating. Now, reverse dieting doesn't necessarily only apply to those that are chronic undereaters. It also applies to those that have been at a deficit for too long. So if you have been eating, trying to lose body fat and you've been eating at a deficit for a long period of time, then you also should be reverse dieting. And that's actually something that I've been experimenting with the last month and a half is increasing calories each week. Instead of looking for ways to cut body fat, I'm actually trying to fuel my metabolism so that when I decide to cut again, it will respond like
Yep.
that. And so that's something that and almost any of us can do is just check your weight. So this is when weight does come into play. When you're reverse dieting, we do want to see if weight is staying the same. If it is, then we want to continue to increase calories week by week so that when we do a cut, we can see better results. So that's what we mean by reverse dieting. We want to increase calories slowly instead of decreasing calories. So that when we do decrease calories, we see a change in body composition. Okay. We want to talk about
We pretty much hit these ones. We should talk about this one.
well, let's do this one first.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So one thing that we're going to talk about is going out and having drinks. So if you are tracking and you want to go out and you want to have some drinks, there is a way to track alcohol. Will you kind of break it down? You're better at breaking
Yeah.
down the.
So alcohol is like you can't go off of it saying, 2 carbs or
Yeah.
whatever. You can't go off that. The way you track alcohol is you look at how many calories are in your drink, and then you can choose to track it as a carbohydrate or a fat or a combination of two. So let's say you have a drink that's 200 calories.
Yep.
You can take 100 of those calories and track it as a carb. And the way you do that is you divide 100 by 4, so that's 25 carbs. And you could take 100 calories and track it as a fat. So you would take 100 calories divided by 9, so you're having 11 grams of fat. So that way, depending on if you're high carb, high fat, whatever, you can kind of decide where those go. But just know that you can't just go off of what the label says.
Yeah.
You have to track it based off calories, not based off of how many carbs it says it has on the food label.
Right.
And if it doesn't have a food label, then you just figure out how many calories it has.
Yep.
Track it as a carb or fat or a combination of the two. And then it really actually will put things in perspective.
It does. So I explained that to my mom. My mom tracks, and I explained that to my mom, and she goes, "Well, that's dumb. I'm not doing that."
I'd rather not know.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
So it does. It kind of puts everything in perspective. Pretty much, if I know that I'm going out, you know what? I'll just really focus. I won't track for that day, but I'll focus throughout my day and I will intuitively eat more protein, less carbs, like we had talked about. And I'll know that I have that extra to have some drinks. And then I just will have water in between and go from there.
Yeah.
And if you have a day where, you are doing so great in the morning, your breakfast was amazing, you had a great workout, you're feeling amazing, and then you go out to lunch with your friends and it's unplanned. You had pizza or Chinese or whatever, it's okay. You can save the day. It's totally
Yeah.
fine. You can have an untracked meal, but just,
Go
bring
back
it back
to
in.
go back to what you would normally do.
Yes.
Don't like say, "Oh, I'm not eating the rest of the day."
Yeah.
Just
No.
eat what you would normally eat for dinner
Yeah.
that night.
Yep.
Um, oh shoot, there was something I was gonna say. Oh, I did a post on my personal page like 2 weeks ago about having cake for breakfast. I don't know if any of
Yes.
you guys
Yeah, that
saw
was a good one.
that. It wasn't planned.
Yeah.
Like, I got home from the gym
It was
and
good
saw
cake.
this amazing cake and took one bite and I don't know, it was gone after one bite.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop myself, but that doesn't mean that I just threw in the towel and just ate whatever I wanted the rest of the day
Mhm.
or limited drastically everything I ate to make up for it. I just changed my lunch. Like normally my lunch is like a piece of sourdough bread with avocado and 2 eggs, egg whites, like all this yummy. It's pretty high fat,
Yep.
minimal carbs. And I just changed it. I
Mhm.
just went to egg whites and took out the bread, and I still had one full egg. I switched my salami for like turkey,
Yep.
like lean turkey. So I just changed it a little bit. And then there's one other thing that I wanted to mention. Something I saw on Instagram like couple months ago that I've used personally and told a couple of my clients about. Who says the day has to start over at night in the next morning? Like,
Mhm.
there's no magical clock that starts over at night.
No.
So break your day into quadrants. If for some reason you end up having donuts or cake for breakfast,
Mhm.
that's okay. Like, break your day into 4 pieces, and that part of the day may not have been as planned. You have 3 more pieces to your pie. Like, get those balanced,
Yep.
don't self-sabotage, and don't drastically restrict, just adjust, and
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yep.
Okay, there's a couple more. Okay, so, we had one gym member ask, "I'm hitting my macros, but am losing too much weight body fat. My macros are high for me, and I'm finding it hard to fit all my food in. Do I need more food? I would like to build bulk, but also don't want to feel like I'm eating all the time." Okay, so first of all, we take a holistic approach.
Mhm.
What else is going on in your life that may be causing you stress?
Mhm.
Because that could be causing weight loss, even though
Mhm.
you're eating a lot of food. This person in particular tends to burn through food quickly.
Mhm.
They're naturally small. It's hard to put on muscle. Doesn't
Yep.
mean they can't, but it's hard.
Yep.
So when stressed or when things, maybe not getting enough sleep, starting a new job, any of those things come up, your body is it. That's your way to like survive. Is like it's shedding weight, and your metabolism. Like this person actually can handle a ton of carbs. So my suggestion here, and you might have a different one,
Mhm.
is to get in liquid carbs.
That's
So
exactly what I said.
increase carbohydrates through calorie dense foods.
Mhm.
So like one of my favorite things to do is to make a protein shake with tons of fat in it.
Mhm.
I've made my shake up to 700 calories
Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm full
Oh, yeah.
afterwards, but I don't feel like I'm shoving food down my face.
Yep.
So it has up to 50 grams of fat in it, like 25 to 30 grams of protein, and like 30 grams of carbs. So it's pretty calorie dense. So that's what I would do. I would look for ways to increase the calories in your food.
Mhm.
Now, doing it with carbs is a little bit more filling than doing it. I don't know if that's true actually, because you can do fruit smoothies and you
Mhm.
can get those carbs up quick, even
Yeah, you
adding
can.
juice, things like that.
Yep.
So I would suggest adding carbs for
Yeah.
sure, especially post workout. I'm
Mhm.
not sure if this person is doing what they're eating right after their workout. So that's
Mhm.
something that we can look at and see if we just need to increase that post workout meal by adding in liquid carbs
Yep.
or maybe eating right after and then eating again 45 minutes
Mhm.
later,
Yep.
something like that.
We have a couple of our male clients too that have talked to
Yeah.
me about wanting to gain muscle and bulk, and they're already eating a lot. And one thing that I suggested to them is dextrose.
Yep.
And then adding that, just add it. If you use vanilla protein powder, take dextrose, orange juice, and vanilla protein powder, and it is the best
It's like
thing.
orange Julius.
Yes, it is so amazing. And that right there is like, I think it's probably like 50 carbs,
Yeah.
depending on how much dextrose
And
you use.
dextrose is cheap. You can
Mhm.
buy it on Amazon, you
Yeah.
can buy it at Whole Foods, it's really, really cheap, and basically, it's carbs, it's
Yep.
just carbs.
Yep.
So if you're trying to build muscle, that's a really good thing to get
Mhm.
post-workout. Um, yeah. So that kinda covers most of our questions, I
Mhm.
think that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Um, do any of you guys have any specific questions or anything that we didn't cover or that you want us to go into more detail? Or did we just do so
Yeah.
awesome that you don't have anything to say? Hey, now's your chance. Awesome. Well, hopefully you guys learned something tonight. Please ask us questions if you
Yes.
see us in the gym and you're not quite sure how to do something. Like, you don't have to be a nutrition client to
Mhm.
ask us questions.
Oh, yeah.
We're nerds. Like, we like
Yeah.
talking about this a lot.
Yeah.
And so we might throw up a bunch of information on you, but we have one question. Oh,
Oh.
you guys are
Oh,
awesome.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, so hopefully you guys took something. If you are looking for more information on anything we talked about, please come
Mhm.
talk to us.
Yes.
Or if you're feeling like you're ready to make that next step and you just want a little bit more guidance, we're
Mhm.
always taking new clients. We're really excited about some new prospects coming up, and we are happy to help. And we can talk to you more about our nutrition program that we offer, especially going into the holiday season. Sometimes people are like, well, I'll just wait till after the holidays. But how great would it be to have that support
Yeah.
going into the holiday season? So instead of gaining 5, 10 pounds throughout the holidays, you're able to actually maintain or lose body fat. Or we look at it as a way to build muscle and we keep your calories where they're at, but try and build muscle during that time. So having a plan going into the holiday is so,
Mhm.
so helpful. When I don't have a plan, it's ugly,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you guys all soon.
Bye.
Bye.